Hi guys, you able to hear me? The voice is clear. The voice, the texture. आवाज सुनाई दे रही है? आवाज सुनाई दे रही है? Okay. So naturally the visibility might not be very clear. I mean, I'm having some issues with my camera. I'll fix it tomorrow in the next class. And so obviously you guys might have seen the result, and you must have by this time clearly understood where the situation is with the preparation. Now look, obviously the results of today clearly clarify certain things. There needs to be a change in approach to the preparation. UPSC is looking for something more than just a random book preparation. A very comprehensive, prepared approach to the exam is what looks like these guys are looking at, and probably that'll be the best thing that you would want to do in your preparation. Okay, now having said that, let us see the first question for the day. Consider the following statements regarding Shakyas. The Shakyas ruled Kapilavastu after Buddha's parinirvana. They fled to different parts of Greater Magadha and to far-flung places like Gandhara and Burma. They were granted a status comparable to that of Vajracharya priests. How many of the above statements are correct? In December 2025, there was a question. There was a little topic which came actually in newspaper about this. So that's why this question I've asked. Please answer this. Only one, only two, only three, all three, none of the above. Hi Kuldeep. Hi Parthiban. Good evening, good evening, good evening. The answer for this question has to be C. The Shakyas were the ones who ruled Kapilavastu after Buddha's parinirvana, did not have any army, and many were massacred in Sagarahava. Eventually, the remaining Shakyas fled to different parts of Greater Magadha and to far-flung places like Gandhara, which is what they are right. They fled to different parts of Greater Magadha and to far-flung places like Gandhara and Burma. Yes, Shakyas ruled Kapilavastu after Buddha's parinirvana. Parinirvana is Buddha's death. And many also went to Kathmandu Valley and were granted a status of comparable to that of Vajracharya priests, but they were not permitted to practice priesthood outside their families. This statement is also correct. Yes, they were granted a status comparable to that of Vajracharya priests. How many of the statements are correct from this question? All the three are correct. The answer is C. The word Yavanas mentioned in detail in Sangam literature refers to horse chariots that were used for Ashwamedha sacrifices, the elaborate religious arrangements made by the kings, foreign conquests that led to local cultural assimilations, and some Greek kingdoms. So what does it mean by Yavanas in the previous, in Sangam literature? That's what the question is. Yavana. Guys, Yavanas are essentially Greeks. Yona, Yauna, Yonaka, Yavana. These were actually, in fact, that's the reason why pillar is the pepper. Black pepper is called Yavana Priya, loved by the Yavanas. It appears repeatedly and particularly in relation to Greek kingdoms which neighbored or sometimes occupied the Punjab region over a period of several centuries from 4th century BC to the 1st century CE. The Yavanas are mentioned in detail in Sangam literature epics such as Pattinapalai, describing their brisk trade with early Chola kingdoms in the Sangam period. So Yavanas is basically answer is D. D for Delhi. Yavana means Greeks. Remember this, ये अच्छी तरह याद रख लो. Yavana का मतलब है Greeks. Okay. Consider the following statements regarding prehistoric paintings. There are evidences of lower Paleolithic people producing art. Symbols do not form part of the prehistoric paintings. Hunting scenes predominate the Mesolithic paintings. How many of the above statements either are correct? Read the questions once again properly. There are evidences of lower Paleolithic people producing art. Symbols do not form part of prehistoric paintings. Hunting scenes predominate Mesolithic paintings. Only one, only two, all three, none of the above. Answer should be A. Only statement 3 is correct. Hunting scenes predominate Mesolithic paintings. Yes, lower Paleolithic में absolutely paintings do not exist. Prehistoric paintings are essentially more or less like narrative paintings. They do not have symbols. We are not sure if they had any symbols. We have absolutely no evidence of paintings from the prehistoric Paleolithic period. And it is only during Upper Paleolithic and Mesolithic that we actually see the earliest evidences of paintings. Paintings actually can be divided into three types: human beings, animals, and geometric patterns. Now, are these geometric patterns really symbolic paintings? We aren't sure. We can't conclude so. Not possible. Okay. The largest number of paintings belong to Mesolithic. Hunting scenes predominate in the Mesolithic paintings. Hunting scenes have a predominant presence, a greater presence in the hunting scenes. The Natya Shastra is a notable ancient treatise influencing dance, music, literary traditions. It is notable for its aesthetic rasa theory. The rasa theory states that performance of arts is intended purely for entertainment. Pleasure and happiness are foundations of human life. The primary goal of ragas in music is to give it a natural flavor, one that appeals to all creatures and not only human beings. Performance of arts is a tool to raise individual consciousness for spiritual upliftment. Select the correct answers from the options given below. What is the primary goal of rasas? The answer would be D. Performance arts is a tool to raise individual consciousness for spiritual upliftment. There are 9 rasas, navarasas. The rasa theory mentioned in Natya Shastra given by Bharata Muni asserts that entertainment is a desired effect of performing arts but not the primary goal. The primary goal of performing arts is to transport the individual and the audience into a parallel reality full of wonder, and where they could experience their own consciousness, reflect on the spiritual and moral questions. This is very similar to the Sufi views of music, chanting, and spiritual potential to connect with the divine. Just like how Sufis have this concept of divinity, rasa theory also has this primary aim of promoting divine ideas and divinity. That's primarily where the rasa theory works.
In the game series, specifically Original Sin 2, voting typically refers to the
Okay. Now, there are 9 rasas which are very important. Consider the following pair of folk dances related to the community: Hosagari dance, Riang community; Bihu dance, Chakma community; and Chirao dance, Lusai community. Which of the following pairs is or are correctly matched? 1 only, 1 and 2, 1 and 3, 1, 2, 3. Hosagiri, Bihu dance and Cherao dance. The answer for this question is, solution is D. Hosagiri is a dance related to the Riang community. Bihu dance belongs to the Chakma community. And Chirav dance belongs to the Lusai community. And Vangala dance, which had been in news recently, belongs to the Garo community. December 2025, Hindu newspaper had a huge article about this. The northeastern communities and dances, and consistently there will be questions in prelims primarily about tribals, especially of the northeast, their dance communities and their festivals and their dance patterns. Okay, it's very important. So Hosagiri dance is of Riang community, Bihu dance is of Chakma community, Cherav dance is of Lusai community, and Vangala dance is of Garo community. Next question. The 6th century BC is regarded as a major turning point in early Indian history. It is associated with which of the following? Use of silver for first time, development of coinage, practice of Gana oligarchies in Mahajanapadas. How many of the statements either are incorrect? Only one, only two, all the three, none of the above. 6th century BC. Answer. Type your answer. The question is asking incorrect. Answer is A. Statement 1 is incorrect. Use of silver for the first time is actually coming with the coming of Indo-Greek kings, and Indo-Greek kings do not come till 6th century. Silver was used since Harappan times, but coinage ke liye, it is right. Statement 1 is wrong. It is an era where, basically, if you see the 6th century BC, that's the beginning of Iron Age. Statement 3 is also wrong because it includes Buddhism, growth of Buddhism and Jainism. Practice of Gana oligarchy is nahi, but 6th century BC is well known for the growth of Buddhism and Jainism, new philosophies of religion. Okay? Next question. Consider the following statements. Mauryas used punch-marked coins made of silver and copper. The first coins to bear the names and images of the rulers were issued by Indo-Greeks. Yaudhayas of Punjab and Haryana were renowned for using copper coins. Both Kushanas and Guptas issued gold coins. How many of the above statements either are correct? Only one, only two, only three, all the four. Punch-marked coins. The option about guys, these are not previous year questions, these are most predictable questions. I generally do this every year, and you can be very confident that at least a good amount of them, of your prelims questions, come based on these questions. These are a combination of current affairs and core subject. Answer is D for Delhi. Exchanges were facilitated by introduction of coinage. Punch-marked coins were made of silver and copper, were amongst the earliest minted coins used by many dynasties including Mauryas. The first coins to bear the names and images of rulers were issued by actually Indo-Greeks, who established control over northwestern part of India, a subcontinent. And the first gold coins were issued by Kushanas. With the coming of Vema Taktu Kadphises, father of Kanishka Kushana. These were virtually identical in weight with those of Roman emperors, so that's why they are generally also called Aurei coins, Aurei, Ore type of coins, generally popularly known as Ore type of coins. Okay, next question. Which of the following three kingdoms were involved in the struggle for Kannauj? Chola, Pala, Rashtrakuta, Pala Pratihara Chola, Chera Rashtrakuta Pandya, Pala Pratihara and Rashtrakutas. Now this is a question which you should be able to answer quite easily. Are you able to hear me? Yes, Sagar, the answer is D. Pala, Pratihara, Rashtrakuta, the tripatriate struggle. This is a chapter which is studied in the earliest first part of medieval India. At the end of in ancient India, in the beginning of medieval India, you will see after the end of Harshavardhana's rule in North India, you see a tripatriate struggle going on for the control of North India. The struggle was actually between Pratiharas of Gujarat, Palas of Bengal, and Rashtrakutas of Deccan. Towards the end of the successor of Nagabhatta to Gurjar Pratihara successfully attacked Kannauj and established control, but Pratiharas could not retain the control over the Kannauj for a longer period because they were eventually overthrown by Rashtrakutas, who were then overthrown by Palas, and the tripatriate struggle continued for a substantially long period of time. Which of the following statements were, or which of the following were advocated by Bhakti movement? There is a God in every human being. Annihilation of age-old caste systems, the concept of erudition. How many of the above statements either are incorrect? Only one, only two, all three, none of the above. I'm asking incorrect. Conceptual erudition. Yes, exactly, Sagar. ऐसे words हमेशा UPSC will use in its prelims. There will be one of those words which are like, यार ये word तो कभी सुना ही नहीं है types. Statement 3 is incorrect. I mean, look, to put in perspective, the concept of bhakti did take away the elitist. Erudition is basically division. The separation, division part it removed. The concept of bhakti did away with the elite tradition of Sanskrit. I mean, that basically, for example, exactly, erudition basically means elitist or primordial knowledge or peak knowledge types. Accepted, it accepted that the religion and philosophy as something which everybody can understand, not just the upper class elite. Bhakti also attacked the age-old caste system and devoted itself to the concept of humanity, because the catchword for bhakti is that God is there in every human. The movement was in the essence a sub-movement, as most of its poets belong to the lower castes. Bhakti is essentially, remember, it's anti-theology. It doesn't have like one rigid institutional format कि यही सही है, ऐसा ही करना है वाला concept कभी नहीं था भक्ति में. Okay, and it was against any type of conceptual erudition, that is, bhakti is only for the upper class knowledge, only elitist can understand wala idea they never promoted. Next question. Consider the following about the edicts of Ashoka. The inscriptions of Ashoka were first deciphered by James Prinsep. The major rock inscriptions can be found in Barbara caves. Ashoka refers to himself as beloved servant of the people, Janamapiyadasi, in these inscriptions. Which of the following statements is or are correct? 1 and 2, 1 and 3, 2 and 3, 1, 2 and 3. Yes, the rejection of concept of Brahmanism, Rakhi, is what we call end of conceptual erudition. Yes, it democratized religion, or it made religion accessible to everybody. Give me the answer for this. Answer is A. The edicts of Ashoka are divided into pillar edicts, major or minor edicts. Yes, कल तो class है, yes. Okay, pillar edicts, major rock edicts, 14 edicts are there. An edict is basically, as I explained in the first class of history, edicts are essentially like epigraphies or inscriptions on little stone slab which talks about some kind of achievement, some kind of substantial change the king or the ruler has done. They can be major rock edicts or minor rock edicts. Minor rock edicts are basically also like Queen's Edict, Barbara cave inscriptions, Kandahar bilingual inscriptions of Ashoka. Major edicts are 14 edicts which Ashoka gave. Okay. Now, which of the following were the main demands of the moderates in Indian National Congress? Integrated judiciary and executive, reduction of spending on the army, abolition of salt and sugar duty, reduction of land revenue, and protection of peasants from unjust landlords. How many of the above statements are correct? Only 3? The answer is C, yes. Statement 1 is incorrect. See, integrated judiciary and executive was never a concept which was ever discussed by Congress or Congress moderates. Okay, the main demands of moderates was expansion of reforms in Legislative Council where more Indians could be part of the Legislative Council, greater opportunities for Indians in the higher posts, especially ICS exams, both in India as well as England, separation of judiciary from executive. That was there, not integrated. They actually wanted these two to be completely separated without influencing each other, and more power for local bodies. Next point, what is the significance of Sabarmati Ashram in modern Indian history? It served as last residence of Mahatma Gandhi. Salt Satyagraha was started from this ashram in 1930. It has been declared as a national monument by Indian government. How many of the statements are correct? Are incorrect? Only one, only two, all three, none of the above. Yes, Raki, yes, you're right. So they wanted a complete separation of executive and judiciary. The moderates. Sabarmati Ashram. Answer is A. Only one. Sabarmati Ashram, also called the Harijan or Satyagraha Ashram, was home of Mahatma Gandhi until 1930 and served as one of the main centers of his national struggle. Okay, look, he did not go back to Sabarmati after the civil disobedience movement, but that was not his actually last residence. Sevagram Cottage served as the last residence of Gandhi, and Gandhi left to Delhi from Sevagram in 1946 and then went to Noakhali. It was actually Sevagram Cottage which was Gandhi's last residence. From there he did not return to Sevagram ever, obviously from 1946, and he for a brief period stayed in Birla House in Delhi, where he was martyred in Delhi 1948. So for this, the question answer will be only one, which is basically Salt Satyagraha was started from this Sabarmati Ashram. नहीं, सेवाग्राम आश्रम उसके बाद बिरला हाउस. यस, exactly, yes, you're right, Raki, you're right. Last Birla House में थे वो. But Birla House was not his residence, it was actually a guest house. His residence was Sevagram Cottage. Which of the following were the proposals of Wavell Plan? Indianization of Executive Council, removing any caste and religion based quota in Executive Council, Governor General was to exercise his veto on the advice of ministers. How many of the above statements is or are correct? Only one, only two, all three, none of the above. Webel plan, Webel council or Webel proposals. Webel plan was from 1945, guys, and answer is B, only two, because statement 2 is incorrect. Removal of any caste or religion based quota in executive council, that was never there. Religion based quota was there, no, Muslim members in the council. The main proposals of Webel plan were, with exception of Governor General and the Commander in Chief of the Indian Army, all members of the executive council will be Indians. Caste Hindus and Muslims were to have equal share, which is 50%, 50%. A reconstructed council was to function as an interim government within the framework of Government of India Act 1935. Now, this is where actually Webel plan failed, right? Because when they said that there will be 50% Hindus and 50% Muslims, Muslim League wanted all the Muslim representatives to be only from Muslim League, which was stringently opposed by Congress. Governor General was to exercise his veto on the advice of his ministers. Okay, next question. Consider the following statements regarding Rani Gaidinlu. Rani Gaidinlu was a Naga spiritual and political leader who led a revolt against British rule in India. She had been called as the daughter of the hills. She was associated with Heraka movement that was based on ancestral Naga religion. How many of the above statements either are correct? Only one, only two, all three, none of the above. Rani Gaidinlu. Ever heard of Rani Gaidinlu? Naga spiritual leader. Answer would be D. Rani Gaidinlu, 17th February 1993 is when she died, was actually a Naga spiritual leader. She was born on 26th of January 1915 and she led a revolt against the British rule. At 13, she became associated with fighter and religious leader Haipo Jarong. And Jadonang was actually, was also called Rongmei, started the Heraka movement. Heraka movement was essentially about Nagas reclaiming the kingdom of Nagaland for themselves. In fact, Rani Gaidinlu was arrested. She was in reality given the title Rani by Jawaharlal Nehru. And Gaidinlu, after independence, also fought with Government of India for an independent Nagaland. Consider the following statement. Next question. She is regarded as the first female teacher of India. She, along with her husband, recognized that education was the only central plank through which women and depressed classes could be empowered. She was associated with Satya Sudak Samaj. Sarojini Naidu, Kadambini Ganguly, Usha Mehta, and Savitribai Phule. Or this you should be able to answer at this bare minimum. Savitribai Phule, yes. Savitribai Phule is a social reformer who's considered to be one of the worst modern feminists. In fact, she was a very strong believer that women empowerment and depressed class empowerment is impossible without education. Among her accomplishments, she especially is remembered for her being the first female teacher who worked for the upliftment of women and untouchables in the field of education and literacy. Consider the following statements regarding socio-political transformation in early Vedic or later Vedic period. The economy shifted from primarily pastoral and cattle-centric one in the Rigvedic period to a settled agrarian-based economy in the later Vedic period. The political structure evolved in the territorial monarchies of the Rigvedic period to the tribal assemblies of the later Vedic period. The Varna system, which was rigid and hereditary in Rigvedic period, became more flexible and occupation-based in later Vedic period. How many of the above statements either are correct? Only one, only two, all three, none of the above. The answer for this question is A. Rigvedic economy was primarily pastoral. Yes. Okay. So answer is only one. Rigvedic economy was primarily pastoral, where wealth was mainly measured in terms of the cattle, which is Gavishti. And the political structure of the Rigvedic period was tribal, essentially, which is Rajan. Okay, with the chief Rajan being the tribal leader, also being the head of Sabha and Samiti. Okay, guys, that's it for this today. And I just wanted to test out, because I was having a problem with the system. I just wanted to test out the question. From tomorrow, every day in the night at 10:30, we will have this series of questions. Actually, most of the questions today we've done are from the PYQs. Some of you have already done these PYQs. From tomorrow, we will be doing current affairs based questions of the last 1 year. So all current affairs based questions from the last 1 year we'll be doing from tomorrow at 10:30. Okay guys, thank you. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye bye.